Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the episode number 8 of Azure for Sure live show. I'm your host, Stephen Simon. I go by the last name Simon, and welcome back once again. If you're someone who was joining us for the very first time, we stream Azure for Sure every Thursday at 9 a.m. Pacific. And for those who don't know, this is only 10 episode season. So we are on episode number 8, and we have only 2 episodes to go. So, and if you have missed any of the past episodes, wherever you are watching, you will find it over there. We are streaming it on multiple uh, destinations: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and we have partnered with so many communities, C Sharp Corner and whatnot, to stream our content. So thank you everyone who has joined us until now. And we have some folks joining us from Colombia and other places. So thank you everyone. So in today's episode, we're gonna talk about GitHub Actions with Azure, and believe me, I have no idea about what GitHub Actions is. So it's going to be a roller coaster ride for me. And joining us today is a great community leader. You should follow him on Twitter. He is Vivek. He works as a senior cloud advocate at Microsoft. He's joining me from India, and it's very late here today. So let's just bring him in. Hi, Vivek. Welcome to the Azure for Sure live show.
Hey Simon, thanks for inviting me. Hey folks, thanks for joining in.
Yeah, look at that. Behind the scenes, Vivek, I was just asking you about very the interesting calendar that you have in your background. But now I see that there's a different poster too. What is that? What is that photo frame about?
That from the frame is it's definitely me in that frame,
Ah,
and it's about it says my Twitter. I had posted something long back on Twitter saying YAML is the new code,
oh my goodness.
and some of the community members created a poster out of it and sent it to me. So I just put it out there.
Yeah, my goodness. You have a fan following. Follow Vivek on Vivek underscore Sridhar. So Vivek, today we're gonna talk about GitHub Actions and Azure. So I think without any further ado, is it time to we could just dive into it?
Yeah, and before that, I know I just want to introduce myself.
Yeah.
People who don't know me, quite a bit of journey I had. Started with IBM as a software developer, and almost 8.5 years with IBM.
You're
And
young.
oh yeah, I'm very young, and you can see in my photos, I'm totally young, and this is quite a latest photo. Uh, yeah, so a bit of interest in DevOps when I was at IBM. They were early adopters of DevOps, so I got involved in a lot of things with respect to DevOps, and I just enjoyed doing DevOps stuff. So I moved into a role as a solution architect with HCL in terms of doing end-to-end DevOps for enterprise in one of the client engagements, and then I came. And that was in Australia, by the way. And I came back to India as a head of DevOps for one of the startups, and then I founded a startup, and then I joined DigitalOcean as a senior developer advocate. Uh, Worked with a lot of startups there. Spent a lot of time with startups in from architecture to building DevOps for them. And I spent a lot of time at Microsoft with respect to strategy and investments as well. And
Hmm.
then moved back into engineering as a senior cloud advocate from past 1 year. That's my background. And, if you want to connect with me, these are my digital coordinates. As they call coordinates, right? So this is what the digital coordinate
New
is,
way of
and you
saying.
can connect with me. Yeah, perfect. Cool. So let's dive into GitHub Actions. So what is GitHub Actions? So pretty interesting. Everybody, in almost every startup or any a company which is building a new code, they would definitely use GitHub. I mean,
Mhm.
there is no, obviously there are different tools, but GitHub is one of the top most used source code repository, right? Um, so everybody is developing there, and developers are doing a lot of stuff there. So there is a workflows. Developer has a couple of workflows, right? So there is, you would do a, either fork something, or you would label something, or you would, as a developer, obviously CI/CD is one of the workflow from a developer perspective, right? And when somebody pushes the code, it gets deployed to production. It is also one of the workflow. So you want to make sure that you automate it. And since the code was there on GitHub, GitHub came up with this automation tool, right? The automation platform for everyone to use. So this is nothing but a platform to automate your workflows,
Mhm.
and that's what GitHub Action is. And it could be any workflow, and either it could be a new contributor joining to your open source project, and you have a welcome message and what needs to be done from a steps perspective. That is also one of the workflow. And you want to automate all of these things. Like, you don't want to sit there and keep waiting for someone to join in, and once they join in, you send them an email and other things. You want to automate it, right?
Mhm.
So those are the things you can do. And obviously a lot more advanced things, like build and deploy and other, which are more advanced in terms of managing code, and also building code and deploying code to productions and other things. So it's ultimately the workflows, which you can build, which is there, which is there on the GitHub. The code which is there on the GitHub, you can automate those things from a workflow perspective. So that is simple, GitHub action. And what I would like to talk about is the components of GitHub Actions, right? So everything is driven by a trigger, right? Everything is driven through an event, all right? And any workflow you want to run through, there has to be an event. Say, even from a CI/CD perspective, somebody needs to push the code to the branch, right? or
Mhm.
or um, or there is a new contributor joining in, or there is a label which you have added. Anything is an event. It's a small set of events, and these events are running on a runner. A runner is nothing but an infrastructure. So you need an infrastructure to run anything, right? It's basically, either it could be a container, it could be a script which you want to run. It requires an infrastructure. You don't have an infrastructure on the fly, right? So there is an event which happens, and when the event happens, there is GitHub provides you an infrastructure to run set of jobs. And within the jobs there are steps. If you see this, the diagram, right, there is couple of steps within a job. So there could be a build job. And build job, what you do, you might be setting up the environment for a Java, Java SDK, or you might run a build for that container. You run the build and then deploy that or artifact to the container registry, which is nothing but your static representation, which is the images. Host it on the container registry, and then you run couple of actions, like run couple of commands to execute that, right? So there are certain steps. Either you can run it as a script, or you can run it as an actions, or you can run commands and other things, but these are all part of the steps. And there is a one specific job which is running as part of it. And then there are multiple things you can do as well. There are runners, which is runner 2, which I'm talking about. There are a couple of jobs also running, and there is steps 1 2 3 and other things also running. So from a component perspective, it's very simple to understand. Here there is a trigger which happens from an event perspective, and you have runner, which is the infrastructure, and there is job, and there are a couple of steps which is running. So that's the main components of GitHub Actions. And just for an example of visualizing the workflow, what we can do is, we can see this as an example. What happens is, if you see on the left side, right, there is name. So you want to provide some name to your workflow file. And then there is an event which is push. So the event is when somebody pushes code onto the branch. That's the event which is there. And then there is runner. When, if you see runner, it is Ubuntu. uh, that is the infrastructure. GitHub provides you the infrastructure with different OSs. You can also have Windows, you can also have Mac as well. And then there is job. What we are doing is we are checking for the batch version, right? The node, the npm installed, which is batch for batch scripting, right? So there is, you are basically, what you're doing is, in the step one, you're calling a pre-built already available actions, which is action slash checkout at version 2, right? What does that mean is, there is already a pre-built actions. We will see what does that mean. That means, for example, anytime you're doing a CI/CD, you basically check out the latest version of the code, and everybody does that. And to make sure everybody use the standard, and everybody has a standard way of doing it, and making easy for everyone to use a specific template, GitHub is already providing those actions, already available actions. And you can also write your, as a company, you can also write your own set of actions. So I will show you how GitHub Actions can be used with Azure, and how these actions are set up for specifically on Azure. And today we will see from a Kubernetes perspective as well. So that's one of the thing which has been done in the step 2. And step 1, you're just, you're checking out the repository, installing Node.js, and running the npm install command, and then just checking the version of it. So that's something, a simple workflow. What we will do is, we will deep dive into the demo as of now. We'll see how exactly this will work from a demo perspective. Let's go and see this one. So just before I deep dive into the demo, I just wanted to show you what are the events you can use, right? So there is fork, there is, you can see here, there's label, there is projects, there's pull request, push, a lot of other things like watch status and everything. So anything on anything, any action which is happening on your GitHub repo, you can run these events. And whenever there is these events are occurring on your GitHub, you're basically the event is being triggered, and you run jobs using the runners. So the runner is nothing but the infrastructure to run it. The infrastructure could be VM or the containers or anything. You can also have your own set of infrastructure. We will see that. So I'm just taking one simple example. Okay, there is a voting app, and this app has been built. It's already there, and it's basically running on a Kubernetes cluster, and I have a workflow, and I'll show you how to build it. We will build and deploy live on this workflow, but I'll show you how it has been built. So so basically, if you see here, if you notice, this is an action on push. So if anybody pushes the code, there is this whole job gets triggered. So this is the event which I was showing in the diagram as well, and these are the set of jobs which will run, right? So this is the environment variables which you can set up. So these are environment variables. This is like registry name, which is the container registry name, cluster name, which is the Kubernetes cluster name, and namespace and resource group name from an Azure perspective, and then app name, which is the app name, and then there's a job, and then you call it as build, and basically you are setting up the runner. So here is the runner, which is the Ubuntu latest. Once you set up the runner, you're running the steps. So this is one of the steps, right? One of the steps is to make sure you check out the code from the main branch, and then you connect to the Docker container, Azure container registry, using this action. So notice this, there is action slash checkout. So let us go here and see what does that mean. So here actions slash checkout, right? So let's go and see actions slash checkout. We'll just copy this and go to GitHub and say action slash checkout. Copy that. Just wait a minute. Let me copy this and paste it here. So now if I go to action slash checkout, it's already pre-built template for making sure that your code is checked out onto the runner which has been set up, right? So let's go here and say and if you go to the actions.yaml, there is a set of instructions how you can use this checkout. So there is, couple of things which you can provide: input repository. If you know the template, this is the template to check out the code, and these are the things which you can use. So it is already been set, and that is what we are using here. We are using checkout simple one, without any specific things. It is to check out the code. And similarly, Azure Docker login as well. If you see this, uses this with login server, username and password, right? So login server is an environment variable here, registry name, and then there is secret to connect to this registry name and registry password. So this environment variable is coming from here. So I have set this as environment, and you can see this is here. What is this secret? So this is nothing but, you need to set this up uh, in a separate settings. I'll just show you in the same repository. When you go into the settings, right, you can go here and go to secrets, and on actions there are a couple of secrets which I have set: the Azure credentials, registry name, registry name and registry password. So where do I get this? This is there on my um, you know let me go to the registry. I'll show you. This is my container registry. When I go into the access keys, right, you can see the password and username, right? That is what I have copied there and added here. You can just go and create a new repository secret, and basically you can see all of these things here updated. How do you create a credential, right? Let me show you how to do that. So when you go to this code, there is something called a service principal. I have given the command. This is the command. So all you need to do is to provide with the subscription ID, Azure subscription ID, and then you can create the specific uh, s- Azure Active Directory service principal, where you can connect to your Azure. So through this, and there is a YAML, there is a JSON format which it will show up, and just you have to come here and go to actions and just create that Azure credentials. So that is what we are doing here. So we have environment variables on push, run these jobs. What we are doing is code is checkout, and we connect to the Azure Container Registry through environment variables and secrets which we have set, and then we do the build of the container. So we go into this app and we do the build and push the image to the container registry, and nothing but connect to the Azure Kubernetes service. So this is also one more action here. So if I go to this, and let me show you this one first. If I go to the Azure/Docker login, so all I need to do is just go here slash here. Okay. So if I come here and go to actions, I can see these are the things which I need to do. There is Azure Container Registry, and here is a very interesting thing. There is required is equal to true. That means if whenever you're using this specific thing, you need to make sure it is true. Okay. And I mean, make sure that is been provided. So input is always container registry username, container registry password, and rest of the things which is required is always there, and that is what here we have provided. The resource group name, cluster name, and credentials. These things have been provided here. So anyways, the similarly Azure creates secret and set context is available with the credentials and cluster name and resource group, and all simple commands with kubectl command which is required to create a namespace if it is not there, is been set up here and deployed to Azure Kubernetes service, which is Azure slash KH deploy, which is also you can see all of these actions templates are available here. Just you to learn about this, just go here, type for each of these. You'll be able to see, um, you know, go to this actions.yaml, and you can see all of these things available for you, right? There are, again, you can see there are couple of things you need to set and not to set. There are required false is there, so you don't need to really input this information. There are some of these things are true, so you need to provide those information. So it is already there. So basically you just need to make sure that you set this up. So simple, right? So you just need to uh, create an event, which I showed you a couple of events which was there, specifically whichever event you want to pick. So with that event, I'm going to run these jobs as part of the steps which is there. So these are the couple of steps which we are running. Okay, so you just need to mention where you're starting the steps, and then you're just running, and these are the name, and this is the runner for that specific thing. So what we will do is we will run one live. This particular code is already being deployed, because of the time I have already deployed to the Kubernetes cluster. Now it is already running. Okay, so you can see this. So uh, now what we will do is we're going to change some code and see how exactly it works. Remember, whenever I push the code to the specific repository, the GitHub Actions gets triggered, and you can see the list of workflow has been run. The actions been run here, right? So we'll go and make changes to the code. So let's go and make some changes. Okay, so let's make it more specific. Coffee versus tea, and make changes, updated options, and let's commit changes. Okay, now once the commit happens, so you can see here, it is already triggered one, so it is automated. So the event happens the on your GitHub repo, and if you have set the event to push on your main branch, and when this happens, you just need to go there, and you can see um, build has been running, and you can see a couple of things happening. The first thing it does is, um, it checks for all the things which I have set it in the actions. If you see here, these are pre-built ones, right? So it makes sure that all these repositories are available or not, and it's the right versions or not. So basically, actions, checkout, Docker login, set context, these are all has been set up in different steps, but it makes sure all these actions are downloaded and info is available, right? And then it starts with the steps. So couple of steps is a checkout main, and then Docker login. It logs in, and it creates a build. You can see the build is happening, and once the build is done, it goes and set the context, right? And it is running couple of command, and then it specifically checks for stuff, and it completes the job. And you can see here, uh, the build is successful, and you can see it's green. So you can see here, that's how you can run with Azure. And now what we need to do is we just need to go here and just refresh this code. You can see there is coffee and tea, right? You can definitely go back and vote. You're a coffee person or a tea person. I'm a coffee person, but I do a show with tea. I like tea as well. So there's a couple of things which you can do, and yeah, so simple. The we were able to automate this stuff. So if you see the code, nothing special. It's very easy to write. There is event, there are a set of environment variables. You're running a job, you can run multiple jobs here, or you can create a separate job, separate things for different things and connect them. After running this specific workflow, run the other workflows and other things. You can also do that. And this is this is the build, and these are the steps you're going to run, and that's it. So this is a simple one. So if you want to learn how to use GitHub Actions with Azure. This was a simple example with Azure Kubernetes service, but there are different services where you can use specifically with GitHub Actions. So just go to my repo, Wikibytes, and go to GitHub Action series. Under the GitHub Action series, basically I have done the complete hands-on as well. You can access the recording here, and you can also take the source code here to test it out, and there are reference documents as well. So I've done it with app service, functions, Azure functions, Kubernetes service, also with machine learning, database. You can try with other things, and also how to implement with ARM templates and container scanning and other things. And also a couple of things which specifically with let me show you the other one also, specifically in Azure Kubernetes Day. I think I also did it with specifically where's the workshop? Okay, that's not here. So which is a report to do app, I believe. Yeah. So just go to do app. Terraform is also here with Azure. So you can also build and deploy a complete cluster, and run the code on top of that, and execute it. So it's with the Terraform as well. So interesting. Everything is available within the repos, right? So yeah, these are some stuff which I wanted to share. You can, if you have any questions, you can let me know, or you can connect with me in my digital coordinates, and we can definitely discuss this more.
Yeah, Vivek, you covered. That was a really, I would say, very crisp demo. I mean, followed. You did talk about what are GitHub Actions. Then you quickly went to a demo, and you also deployed it. And I went to that link, and I think people are voting. There's a really contest
That's
going on
loading.
between a tea and coffee. Tea is
Coffee
winning,
is
no doubt.
winning.
No, tea
Coffee
is
is
winning.
winning.
I just saw it. Refresh it.
Oh, I didn't refresh. Oh my God, that's a huge.
Yeah,
T is one with a
yeah.
huge no margin.
Yeah, we were joining. We have more audience from Asia Pacific or from England. Let's put it that way. um, so Vivek, you made this entire demo look very easy. It looked like a piece of cake. You were moving from one step to the other. But I do know that although GitHub Action has made CI/CD very easy to get started, it is very challenging. For people who are moving into the CI/CD with GitHub Actions, what are some of your suggestions, and what are some of the pitfalls one should avoid, or what are some of the challenges people may face while learning GitHub Actions?
So I don't think so. There are any challenges. The
Mhm.
best way to learn GitHub Actions is to go to this docs,
Yeah.
and they have this um, amazing documentation. I do love their documentation. There is if you go, you can find everything, information on everything, so you don't need any of those videos or any of those things. Probably couple of things which you might need is going back to my repo for
Mhm.
Azure specific thing, because I have done specifically for Azure. So if you're building something on Azure and you're building, those are specific things which you want to look into, that is where you can go. But if you want to learn GitHub Actions in general and want to understand it in better way, it's simple. It's been done, documented really well. It's in fact, if you see here how to build your own runner as well. Basically, you
Mm-hmm.
don't have to use the runner which has been provided by the GitHub. You can also create your own. You can integrate with Azure virtual boxes as well. So that's interesting to self-host your runners and other things, which I don't recommend. But yeah, it is good to know, right?
Yeah, it's good to
Because
know. Yeah.
there is no point in creating your own host and trying to manage it. There is already been provided by GitHub anyways. A lot of things, right? Publishing your packages,
Mm-hmm.
not always everybody uses the images, right? There are companies who are using the packages, Java war files and other things to deploy stuff. So you can use how to do that, build and deploy the artifacts and other things. And specifically from a deployment, everything has been provided here. And I mean, that's something uh, which I would recommend everyone to go and start with GitHub docs on actions, right? That's where I would start. I don't think though there are any challenges there, because if your
YAML.
source code is I mean, YAML is a new code. You need to know how to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, YAML is interesting as well. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's not tough,
Yeah.
because even if you see the GitHub repo, which I have, the Azure voting app, it's written in YAML, right? So it's
Mm-hmm.
easiest way to configure things. All you need to make sure is how do you configure it and make sure it is structured. Otherwise, it's all fine. And so these are all already available. Just key pair values, right? You just give
Yeah.
them as a part of a key pair values. So I think this is a easiest way, and there is no. I don't think so. There are any challenges. It's just that you need to practice. Obviously, there are many things to learn here, so you need to keep doing stuff so that you'll get to the expert level of it. See, if you see this, right, I like this hardening, security hardening. It's pretty interesting now, right? So basically, how you can do this, and OpenID is there now. This is something new which they launched,
Mm-hmm.
I believe in Ignite. I think so.
Oh,
Yeah,
by the way, build is coming soon, right? It's in May, in month May.
yeah.
Yeah.
May 26th and 27th. Yes.
Mhm. Cool, cool. And yeah, I'm with you. I would say start small. It doesn't have to be very complex project. You can start with any maybe client side project. It can be like Blazor client side, React, Vue. Just build it and use GitHub Actions there to even deploy it on GitHub. So I think start small, and it's lovely that
Yep.
you have your code over there. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So basically, if you're building a very challenging workflow, um,
Mm-hmm.
then what you need to do is build a structure first.
Mm-hmm.
So what I say is build, test, and deploy, right? So you are doing three different jobs and three
Mm-hmm.
different workflows. You have different steps to do all of these. So you want to connect them, right? When after build, you want to go back and test, and then do do the deployment to production, right? Or into different staging and various things. So now how you can do is, when you're building such complex thing, how to start with, build it with a simple. First is the structure, not exactly putting all the steps, instead just putting hello world, hello build, hello test, hello deploy, and you're just doing the setting up the structure for that workflows and structure for connecting those workflows. And after that, you build your steps into that, fill in the blanks with those steps. uh, Done. You have end-to-end things running.
Yeah, says the guy who has worked at IBM and is working at Microsoft now. But yeah, you made things looks quite easy now. I'll definitely suggest everyone to go and check your GitHub, your digital coordinates, and check you on GitHub and stay updated with all the latest dev ops content that you share, Vivek. So Vivek, apart, I know it's getting very late at our place. I won't take much of your time. Apart from all this tech thing, Vivek, right? For all the things that you do, this DevOps, CI/CD. What are some of your hobbies? Like, do you paint? Do you play tabla or anything? What do you do in your spare time?
uh, I I read books. Um, uh,
Mhm.
and watch Netflix.
Yeah.
And yeah, like from last 2 years, I have a 2-year-old daughter,
Oh
so
wow.
you don't really get time to do your hobby stuff.
She's your
So
hobby,
yeah,
right?
yeah, she is my hobby, or she she has made
Uh,
my me as a hobby as.
yeah, that's great. So Vivek, it was lovely having you. Anything you want to add before we end today's show?
Nothing. No, it's great to be on the show, and thanks for inviting me. And it's pretty interesting, and love the format. Just with 30 minutes and learning a simple thing, and obviously it's getting started with something really new, which is good. Thank you for inviting me, Simon.
I really appreciate you accepting the invitation, Vivek. You said 30 minutes. We're already at 38 minutes. We gotta wrap it soon. Thank you, everyone who has joined. This was episode number eight of Azure. For sure, we'll see you next Thursday at 9 a.m. Pacific. Until then, take good care of yourself and bye, Vivek. Bye, everyone. Thank you. Ta-da.
Bye bye. See you.